morning, evening, whatever applies to you, whenever you're watching this. If not live on a replay, don't matter to me, so long as you know and remember and fondly remember. I mean that ever so much. From here to heart, deeper down in the guts and all that stuff included. Welcome back to Yap Break Radio. Another edition, another installment, another episode. Brought to you by me, Who This, at Who This Is One, here live first and always on YouTube, at Who This Is One. At Who This Is One, same tag applicable to all the social media, wherever you go and get my stuff from, wherever you go get your fix of Who This, and in this case, Yap Break Radio. That's YAP Break Radio, not yak, as in yakking, the other way saying throwing up, and or yakking in the sense of kayaking, or yak as in the animal, which I think is wait, there's the yak, there's the wildebeest, and then there's what? I think they're all somewhat related to what the goddamn whatchamacallit, mooses, sisses and such, or bull mooses. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know my animal kingdom like that, like I should. And I used to know a little better proudly when I was younger, but you know, those days are far gone past and all that shit. But here we are though, Yap Break Radio. Again, it's Friday. I'm glad you could join me here again live and or watch it back on replay at a much more convenient time to you, morning, afternoon, nighttime, it doesn't matter. As long as you tune in. If you haven't already, just to get it out the way, you can feel free to subscribe, like, comment here, there, wherever at Who This Is One's applicable. Again, that is the same tag here for YouTube as it is on the socials at Who This Is One. Yap Break Radio is, of course, when I take the time to discuss some things that I just got on my mind. I want to get off my chest briefly and or see if anyone else out there can relate as well with me. If not, you don't agree, the comment section is free and open to do so. You know, just don't be a bigot. Just don't be an asshole. It's my job. I'm kidding, of course. But, you know, as long as we can filter out the religious talk, the political talk, only because not so much that those are sensitive topics, but more so those are more topics that don't really interest me, to be honest. I mean, the world, life, this whole thing called life is hard enough. Why the fuck? Oh, I keep picking the wrong thing. Hold on, I gotta fix the background. Just realized that right now. Oh, don't move the camera, just fix the background. Hold that, let's see. The background appropriate for Yap Break Radio is coming up right now. Technical brief difficulties, and there we go, right? There we go, officially. Yap Break Radio in full of, if I could stop on the goddamn camera, that'd be good. And yeah, here we are. Back to Yap Break Radio. How you doing? How's it going out there? Friday afternoon, of course. Let's see, real quick in the comment section, we got Strawberry Dash Gaming. I'm back. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. And you got Juan Manuel Y1R. I saw your message before it got deleted. I hate you. He said, not that I hate him. He said that to me, I hate you randomly, which is, you know, whatever. It's the internet. You can hate whatever you want. You're free to do so. You can hate me for no good goddamn reason besides I exist. I'm bald. I sound the way I sound. I look the way I do. My eyebrows are bushy. I don't know. But it's okay. If you do or you don't, if you mean it or you don't, or if you're speaking on someone else's behalf, apparently like you said, your brother said that, younger, older, that's okay. It's all right. That's mean? Nah, it's whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not offended. Believe me, you can see by, you know, the cracks and the wrinkles on my face already and the lack of hair. I know I'm bald, by the way. You don't need to remind me I'm bald. Not that I'm going to get offended. It's just like, I've heard it already. Believe me, it's the first default insult that people let to go with. And it's like, well, you know what? You could be original at least. You know, take advantage of the fact that I'm bald. That's kind of easy. Get it out the way. But then, you know, maybe add to it, build on top of that if you must. So, Juan Manuel, you know, all good. I appreciate you sorry. I accept you sorry. It's all good. And Strawberry Gaming, thank you for defending me in the comments. But believe me, the last thing I need is defending and or anybody coming to my rescue or, you know, helping me out in that sense. But I appreciate it. I always appreciate you chiming in and coming in too. Everybody else does so too. Juan Manuel, I like your steam. I know. I sound like I should have steam coming out of my head or my ears, you know. I sound aggravated by default. That's just the sound of my voice. I'm sorry about that, but I'm good, I promise. And I know you corrected it to say stream instead. I know what you meant. I'm just playing along. It's all fun. It's Friday. It's the time of the week you let your hair down, proverbially. Since I have none, I can't really say that. I shouldn't probably say that. But you know what I mean. It's time to let your hair down, time to let loose, time to be a little, silly with it, crack your neck like I just did right now. Oof. Let me tell you, one thing you need to stop doing if you can, and hopefully we're approaching that time in terms of medicine, in terms of science, we can tap into how to stop aging. That would be great. That would be beneficial. That would be God sent. If you believe in God or whatever you believe in. Again, we're not here to talk about what you do or don't believe in. You're not right. You're not wrong. I'll leave it at that. So it's all good. But it'd be great if there'd be a way to find out how to not age. I'm trying not to get older. Inside, mentally, my approach to life wise, in that sense, I haven't gotten old. I'm just about the same as I was 10 years ago. You get the life lessons, you learn things along the way, you learn things the hard way, you learn how to do things, you learn right from wrong. You gain wisdom, not so much knowledge, because knowledge is, of course, acquired information you've let rack and store into your brain over time. Wisdom is knowing how to take whatever you've learned over time and actually applying it to yourself, your situation, and or your approach or reaction to what happens to you in this thing called the world, life, earth. I heard the other day that how'd that story go? Was it SpaceX, I think? Juan Manuel dash Y1R. Yes, you said hi. Yes, hello, right back to you. Hello, all good. Hi, hello, how are you? Hola, if that's applicable. What was it? SpaceX had some people stuck up in space. No, sorry, they were doing research up there in space on behalf of SpaceX, and one of them got apparently so sick that they had to cancel the mission for that person at least. And it was either go out there and save them with another team that was gonna like swap out with them eventually, or they're coming back on their own some way. I didn't read into that much detail, but but yeah, that was interesting to see. Like, imagine being stuck in space. Okay, not stuck in space, because I'd love to be in space. My head's in space. That's what I've been told my whole life as a kid and shit. But imagine you're in space carrying out the mission on behalf of SpaceX. That means you got ties with Elon Musk and such, a billionaire like that. Potentially the first ever trillionaire to exist in our lifetime. Zach Winter 5, say please if you see me. Please, I see you. Yes. And hello, and thank you for coming by. What state am I in? I'm in New York. So imagine you're in space carrying out that mission with links tying it back to Elon Musk. Again, a billionaire about to be a trillionaire probably in our lifetime soon enough, because that man's got nothing but money. And you gotta call it quits because he gets sick in space of all places. That's gotta suck. I can't imagine how much that would suck. I can't imagine how much that would hurt inside, the ego, career-wise, the blow you have to take for the sake of you getting sick conveniently enough in space to have to come back down and let the other team come in and take your place for the rest of the mission for as long as that lasts up in space of all places. If you got vertigo, if you get seasick easily, I can see you getting sick up in space. What if none of that applies to you, but then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I'm sick and I'm in space. Oh, shit, I gotta cancel this fucking mission now. I'm fucked, I'm cooked. I'm done my career. It's embarrassing. It's a career embarrassment highlight. Then you gotta come back down. That's gotta suck. And worse if it was on a Friday. Like, all of a sudden, the best news possible is that you're in space on Friday on a job. But then that same Friday, you get, your body telling you you're too sick to continue with your space mission and you gotta come back down to Earth in all reality. Zach Winter, do I like fishing? Last time I went fishing was when I don't even think I was 10 years old. I might have been younger than that. It was cool. I went fishing on a boat, if that counts. I didn't do like off in a lake or a pond or nothing like that. I did it on a boat somewhere in upstate New York when my dad was still around. And then his group of friends decided to, it wasn't his idea, it was his group of friends that said, let's all go out fishing on a Sunday. Then he just happened to remember he had a son to bring along. So they said, oh, why don't you bring your son, stupid? It's like, oh, yeah, I should. And then he brought me along just by, default. We went fishing. I didn't catch a fucking thing. And I don't think he did either. But yeah, I definitely wasn't even 10 at that point because then my dad died. But no RIP to him. He was a dickhead. So fuck him. Oh, your channel is fishing. Okay, cool. I'll definitely sub to your channel as soon as I'm done here to check that out. I'm always interested in looking at different things that people do with themselves. In your case, fishing, if that's primarily what you're doing your channel. I'll check out some fishing. I'm overdue to go fishing at some point. I don't know when exactly because right now at least it's still pretty cold, even though right now weather-wise, currently in Brooklyn, in New York, it's not too cold to be honest. And I don't want to jinx, I don't want to say it too loud either, so that the weather gods or Mother Nature, that cunt, who's always having hot flashes or changing her mind depending on what type of mood she's in, like a mood ring, tomorrow might be abnormally cold, obscenely cold, or appropriately cold for the month of January in New York. And again, the part of Brooklyn I'm at is practically looking out into the ocean. I'm like, we're in the Atlantic Ocean. I know my ocean, so I'm not too far. I'm walking distance from the Atlantic Ocean. So we catch that ocean breeze, and yeah, it can get really fucking cold. Or at least I've been here before when it's gotten cold like that, January, February. And right now, really lucky I was able to step outside real quick to the corner store, the bodega, as they love to call it here. Well, born and raised in New York, I never called it bodega unless I was actually talking in Spanish, but that's just me. I was able to step outside in a hoodie, and that's always a relief for me. I went fishing the other day. Nice. I'm sure since your channel's about fishing, primarily you do a lot of fishing pretty frequently. Where are you located, if anything? So I get a better idea where you're going fishing, where the fishes are biting at, and all that. Other fishing stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah, I always had an interest in fishing games as far as like video games, because I do remember kind of, sort of, a little bit seeing it in person once. That one fishing game that came out for the Dreamcast, I think. Fuck, I don't remember what the name of it was, but Sega Bass Fishing or something like that. Maybe something along those lines. I don't know if you're old enough to even know if that game existed or if it was a real thing, but I remember that for Dreamcast. And I think that came with its own little like fishing rod, kind of like specific controller to like pretend virtually, of course, you're like catching fish with a big bass and all that. Oh, cool, you're in Australia, nice. So is it true in Australia, as they say, I mean, depending on where in Australia you live, I'm guessing you live by the water in Australia. Is it really like there's the west end of the country that's kind of civilized, there's the east side that's civilized, and then in between everywhere is like all the big ass insects, animals that haven't been discovered, or animals that are all trying to kill you collectively at once, and of course kangaroos, sprinkled in between. Because I'm looking forward to going to Australia someday, soon enough, hopefully. I don't know when exactly, but there's also New Zealand. And I know the Aussie women out there are something to feast your eyes upon as well. Besides the fishing, I'm sure it's pretty good out there. But then again, by that time, I will be married. So then I can only look respectfully, like, out the corner of my eyes, like, damn, I should have came to Australia before I got married. God damn it. Okay, you're like an hour away from the water. Okay, so you're, some distance from the water whenever you got to make the trip out there to go fishing. That's cool, that's cool. But yeah, fishing in Australia, that'd be something. You know what? I'm adding that to my checklist. I'm adding that to the bucket list. Fishing in Australia. I mean, you don't have to divulge where exactly. I'll respect that as much as you care to share. But yeah, maybe when I sub to your channel, whatever, I'll reach out, I'll comment, like asking like where in Australia, once it's time to go do so, do you recommend fishing where I'm not gonna get eaten by a giant spider or abducted by a giant, brolic kangaroo or something like that, along those lines. But yeah, getting back to what we were going to talk about today, at least I pinned in the comment you can see right there. It's a long ass comment, so you probably don't see the whole thing. Kenan Thompson and Chris Redd, both comedians, both involved in comedy. I don't know, to be honest, if Kenan Thompson's done much stand up, but he would be considered a comedian because of how long he's been involved in the comedy realm of things. Then there's Chris Redd, who I have no clue as to what he's done exactly or how much he's contributed to comedy outside of what the couple of seasons he's had on Saturday Night Live, SNL, right? I could have looked him up to kind of remember or recognize his face. I didn't bother to do so, so I'm really going in blank as far as like Chris Redd. Besides, I think I read somewhere that he was like a co-star of Kenan on his short-lived sitcom on NBC, which I forget if it was on the same night as SNL or like during the week where normally sitcoms are aired. But there's this whole thing now where Chris Redd, a fellow comedian, along with Kenan Thompson, share a woman in common. More specifically, the woman in common is Kenan Thompson's ex-wife, who he has, I believe, 2 children with, which, what's so uncommon about that anymore, right? Nowadays, it's like, oh, it's not unheard of to be like, oh, well, I used to go out with her like years ago, like 10 years ago, then like my best friend or this guy we knew in common, like just all of a sudden came in, started dating her. They got married. They got some more kids on top of the kids I had with her and all that. It's not out of the norm anymore, that kind of talk. But what is messy and what I'm trying to better understand about, at least specifically, Chris Redd and what he gains from any of this besides controversy building up in time for him to promote a new show apparently he's promoting, is that what? He spilled the beans about being romantically involved now, or in love, as he said, with Kenan Thompson's ex-wife, conveniently enough in time to promote a new show he's got coming out soon enough. This comes all at the expense of Kenan Thompson, who, let me make it clear, I was never a big fan of Kenan Thompson. I know of Kenan Thompson from like the days of All That, because I used to watch All That in real time back on Nickelodeon when I was a kid. It's from a time when there wasn't much to watch on TV, and we had the illegal cable box. So that's the only reason why I had cable for a majority of my life. I had it for free, basically. Or I forget how it works because I don't think the cable company knew we had the box. We just had it plugged in. I would have asked my father if he was still alive because he was the scumbag that would try to get shit for free or on the low or just like, pirated basically. All that was on when there was not much else to watch in comparison to today, at least, all the streaming services, the content you can like indulge in and all that shit. So I know him from way back when. I never thought he was funny. I never thought he was hilarious, but I never hated him. I was like, oh, Kenan Thompson, that's cool, whatever. Especially like Kel Mitchell, I never found funny. And I'm not surprised he didn't really have a long career besides Nickelodeon, the Good Burger 1 and 2 movies, and or whatever else he's done since, which I don't think was much of, but not to hate on him, just I never found him funny. But Kenan Thompson you can respect because he's had longevity, which is hard to do in comedy in general, and or be a recognized name for as long as he's been around, especially with, I think he might still be or is currently the longest running, what's the word? Longest recurring, character on Saturday Night Live currently as we speak, meaning he's been on the longest as far as anybody else is concerned, which is good for him. Steady job, steady paycheck, even though he's got plenty of money apparently now. Not the standout, not a comedy genius, not reinventing comedy, but good for him. He's been able to keep a steady job with comedy. Dorol-F50. Can you speak Germany? No, I can't speak the German right now. I'm pretty busy. I'm kidding, of course. No, I can't speak German. Definitely have to go visit Germany someday. It's on the list. It's on the list. So is Australia. But first and foremost, just in case, fun fact about me, first place I intend to visit is Japan, and that'll be very soon enough. Apparently, I have roots in Japan. I had no idea of. So with Kenan Thompson, right? A career long enough to respect him and to commend him on for staying active, for just being present throughout the whole time on SNL, different things he's done. He did have a sitcom. I think it lasted a couple of seasons before it got canceled because it probably cost too much, and let's just be honest, it wasn't necessarily funny. But that's neither here nor there. Now, at the expense of Kenan Thompson is when we find out that Chris Redd, a castmate, previous castmate on SNL, got involved romantically with his ex-wife because he had a pill addiction at some point. Now, usually you tell that kind of story about having a pill addiction and having overcome said pill addiction to make yourself look good. Commendable. If you're able to do so, great. You're able to put a history of addiction in your past and move on from it and build from it and be a better person from it. Excellent. No fault in that. Commendable. Applause if anything, right? You got to cut the applause short though, because Chris Redd said, oh, well, his ex-wife reached out to me at the time when I was at my lowest during my pill addiction, was helping me get straightened up as far as cleaning up my act, getting off these pills, but also had to throw in for some apparent reason, oh, that was also when I was high off pills, but I was also selling some of the pills I didn't take to some of my castmates on SNL. But I'm not going to say whose name because I'm not going to snitch and let these motherfuckers get exposed like that. Which, that part is unnecessary, childlike, and tacky. You ask me. No need to mention that. Besides, you proving that you're a mess, you're not to be trusted, and if, let's say, I was a castmate at the time he was still with or on SNL, I'd be mad even if I wasn't any of the castmates he allegedly sold some pills to, because then it just raises eyebrows and suspicions of, well, who on SNL around the time of Chris Redd being on there might have seemed like they were perked up or on some pills or really just agitated in general. It's tacky. And it drags other people through the mud that you're already currently bathing in because you want to drag everybody else down with you for the sake of that's the only way you're going to get attention, leeching off of somebody else's name. In this case, he's making Kenan Thompson look like a punk, like a simp, when it seems like they were already divorced, Kenan Thompson and his ex-wife, allegedly, as he says, this Chris Redd guy, before they got involved, his ex-wife and Chris Redd. The stupider part is that if that's true, according to Chris Redd saying that, oh, we only got involved though, by the way, we only fell in love with each other when they were already divorced, but I still felt bad about it. I felt bad about it from the start, according to Chris Redd. What's there to feel bad about from the start or from whenever if you two were already single, you and his ex-wife, meaning divorced from Kenan Thompson? Why feel bad at all? Why feel bad for Kenan? Oh, because he was your boy. He helped you get on this fucking show as a regular too. You made friends during your time in SNL together. Why feel bad then? If you're both consenting adults, she was single, you were single, you fell in love as you insist upon doing, and she helped you with your pill addiction, which is great if she actually did, then why feel bad? You only feel bad if there's something to make you feel bad about it, which means they were linking up or they were getting together or too close beyond the, I got my best friend's soon-to-be ex-wife perhaps, allegedly, I don't know, helping me out with my pill addiction because I need someone like her in my life, so I might as well make her a part of my life since they're already in the process of divorcing or they're talking about divorcing or however it worked. Time frame wise, I don't know, you don't know, so let's not speak in definites. Let's just speak allegedly, but it sounds like a whole lot of bullshit on his end. Why say I felt bad from the start unless you have a reason to feel bad about it? Now, yeah, it could be, oh, well, it turns out they were separated, just freshly separated, still, joint custody of the kids. I don't know how they worked out those details, Kenan Thompson, his ex-wife. But then if that's the case, then you really shouldn't feel bad because Kenan looks like he's always been cool about everything. He just lets shit slide. It doesn't bother him whatsoever. And if anything, she got paid. Apparently, he looks like a good enough guy to make sure his ex-wife, mother of his children, got paid. So then why feel bad at all? It probably means that you were doing it behind his back or when shit was getting finalized, but it wasn't done yet, meaning it was in the process of getting done and or finalized. That's the only explanation I could find. So in this case, it just feels like the guy, Chris Redd, was taking advantage of Kenan Thompson's name association to bring up the tackiness that is that whole situation of him and his ex-wife getting together, being in love, as he claims, and hearkening on the pill addiction he suffered from, that she conveniently enough, his ex-wife, Kenan Thompson, was helping him get through so he could be a better person, while involving Kenan Thompson for no good reason besides free promo / controversial promo in anticipation of his show, whatever he's got going on, which no one's gonna fucking watch or care about anyways from the sound or look of it, dragging along potential fellow castmates previously from your time in SNL, which no one remembers you from. I can't remember the face or put it to a name as far as his time in SNL is concerned. So what the fuck's even going on in the first place? Why even bother doing that? That's tacky. That's childlike behavior. That's not grown man shit. Be a grown man about it. Say you're in love with the bitch. You do that, and then no one gives a fuck. But why not in that case, if you want free promo for whatever you got coming up soon, is, oh, you know what? Oh, the woman I'm with, oh, by the way, that's Kenan Thompson's ex-wife. But I swear to God, I didn't get involved with her while they were still married. I came in after the fact, after she helped me with my pill addiction, because I was really addicted to these pills. And when I was trying to get over them, I did this really clever thing of selling them to my castmates, allegedly, on SNL. But I'm not gonna say who. Shh, you didn't hear from me. You heard from me that I did it. I sold it to some castmates, but I'm not gonna say who I sold it to because, that's just too tacky. That's too, reckless to do so like that, right? But by the way, I'm with this guy's ex-wife, who was one of my good friends that got me jobs and gave me opportunities to fucking still have a career going like that. Because by the way, I got a show coming up I need to promote. It's coming out soon, and you might as well check it out. All at the expense of being tacky, which is beyond me because, again, if you have nothing to feel bad about, as he said himself, I felt bad from the start. If you have nothing to feel bad about, why feel bad then? Which means, again, I'm speculating. I don't know shit. You weren't there. I wasn't there either. So what the fuck do we know collectively? But it sounds like with that messy behavior of his, they were getting into it. They were getting involved, him and Kenan Thompson's ex-wife, while they were still either finalizing their separation, their split up, or while they were still talking amicably amongst themselves and were hoping that Kenan would never find out. Or it seems like maybe Kenan didn't even know and probably said, you know what? You two are good. Do what you got to do. Keep me out of it. Don't drag me along in the mud. And I'll have no problem with it. Because as of now, I haven't seen a response or heard anything from Kenan, and it sounds like he's probably not going to respond. Probably him knowing. And this is why I think his silence is golden or key and essential to pay attention to. Because if he keeps absolutely quiet about this whole thing in general, Kenan Thompson, that probably means that he probably told the guy to not bring this up. Let's just keep this amongst ourselves like grown men. You want to be with my ex. She helped you through your pill addiction. Good for her, good for you. Keep it at that, keep it on the wraps. It doesn't have to be anybody's business. And it never had to be anybody's business, our business, to even know about it. But this guy, Chris Redd, apparently went ahead and did so. Felt like putting that out there for whatever reason, which, again, it just sounds like controversy sells. He saw dollar sign emojis in his eyes and said, free promo for my upcoming show. Why not at the expense of someone who really keeps his personal life personal like that? Kenan Thompson, a good guy. Again, I don't think Kenan Thompson's funny and or hilarious. He's not reinventing comedy. I can't really remember anything that stands out comedy-wise from Kenan Thompson besides, his impressions of like Al Sharpton. And that's, again, not to shit on him to say he's like so unfunny or he doesn't need to even have a career, how does he even have a career? But more like, I wish I had more to say or hearken on positively in regards to Kenan Thompson. But I have nothing to say or contribute to add to Chris Redd and or his fame per se, because whatever he's got coming up will probably flop if he's this messy of an individual to have to drag Kenan Thompson, his ex-wife, and fellow castmates while he was still on SNL along with him in this proverbial mud for the sake of free promo based off controversy, which also sells. It always sells, but unfortunately it sells at the expense of others who got to pay for it, which means now people are going to be digging into Kenan Thompson's personal life, which not my business, not no one's business. Maybe we'll find out stuff we don't need to know. He's into stuff that no one should really know about, weird fetishes or something like that. Even though he seems like a cool guy. I'm not gonna say nothing that I shouldn't say about him because I'm not gonna allege either. But I just hated how this whole story played out at the expense of who seemingly is a good guy and just keeps to himself and just wants to have a steady career going in comedy, which is hard to do. But you should, clap it up and commend him for that. Kenan Thompson. So shout out to Kenan Thompson at the very end of this. No shout outs to Chris Red. Fuck you, matter of fact, to Chris Red if it plays out as messy as it has been playing out. And as promised, Zach Winter 5, I will be subbing to your channel to check out what you got going on with the fishing in Australia specifically. Thank you for chiming in and commenting so much on the live today, which was another edition, live that is, first off, of Yap Break Radio. Brought to you by me, Who This. My voice is going dry. I need to catch a quick drink. I've been talking so much about Chris Red, more than anybody's probably ever talked about him in his entire career. Alleged career, excuse me. I'm Who This, at Who This Is One. Oh, that's much better. At Who This Is One's the at here on YouTube for every live edition, first and foremost, of Yap Break Radio. You can watch the replay afterwards too. They'll be up here like about a day later, not because I don't want them to be available immediately. It's just the processing time for YouTube is give or take about 24 hours for each live. So it's not on me, but hopefully YouTube can fix that so you can watch it back at your given best convenience and or time of day, some other day, who knows. But I'm going to try and make it a regular basis to be on here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for Yap Break Radio. Again, at Who This Is One is the same at you can use on all the other social media platforms and sites wherever. At Who This Is One. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do here as well. Appreciate you, everybody involved. Let's see who was here. Again, as I mentioned, Zach Winter 5. We got Dorol-F50, who asked if I could speak German. I clarified I cannot. Maybe I might have to learn someday. I have to learn Russian because my wife is Russian, so working on that as well. Juan Manuel, who initially said someone on his behalf hated me, but clarified he didn't hate me, it was that other person. It's okay, though. All right, it's all good. It's the internet. You can feel free to hate or like whatever you want. We got Cadence Owens, I guess. For a second, I thought it said Candace Owens. As in Candace Owens. Oh, shit. It's kind of a baddie. Why not? Strawberry_gaming as well. A regular here. And thank you for chiming in. Thank you for coming in all the time. Pause. And yeah, that's about it for today, though. But I appreciate everybody tuning in live. Again, if you watch the repeat, you watch the repeat. Appreciate you either way. I'll catch you next time, most likely on Monday, for another installment of Yap Break Radio. I will be having a bunch of episodes up next week of not just Yap Break Radio, but also of the podcast. AhhFuGGiT, which I just talk my shit, pre-recorded, of course. And then Who This Been Watching? Movie reviews, movie breakdowns kind of thing where I'm just having fun, bullshitting about movies primarily. Thank you either way. Appreciate y'all. Catch you next time. Whenever that is, I'll post it here again too like I did earlier. And yeah, congrats on catching a 90-centimeter fish along with 8 other fishes, Zach Winter. I'm going to sub to your channel right now, I promise. Catch you next time, most likely.